I'm begging you, please, if anything, if you know anything, please.
A distraught mom pleads for the return of her baby.
Department investigators have turned their focus on the couple, including Haro's criminal past, and accusing them of not cooperating in the investigation.
But there was a conviction for child cruelty, which Jake is not running from. He's not hiding from his record. It's publicly available information.
Records show Haro had a 2023 conviction for willful child cruelty from a felony complaint filed in Banning in 2018 that lists him as a co-defendant with his then-wife Vanessa. Hughes represented him in that case.
I think that they are suspecting some foul play. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Tillman Show. This is your boy as always, and first and foremost, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. It truly, truly means the world. What I need you to do, though, is if you guys like the content that I bring to you, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yes, turn on that notification bell so that way you know anytime you get some new information coming your way from me. But with that being said, today is a special show, I guess I can say, because we're going to do a little something different. We're going to do some true crime. How many of you guys love true crime? I love true crime. It always has me on the edge of my seat. But this true crime comes to us specifically here from Southern California. To be exact, we're going to be talking about this case that's coming out of Yucaipa regarding Emmanuel Haro or Haro. He's a young baby who was allegedly kidnapped last week. This case has become very, very interesting. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a timeline. I'm going to show you guys some videos. I'm going to give you my personal opinion on what is going on from a trained investigator standpoint. And then I want you guys to chime in the comment section below and tell me whether or not you think there's some foul play involved with the parents, or do you think that this is a straightforward case and there's somebody legitimately kidnapped this kid and they got to find him. I want to know from you guys, but I'm going to give you guys some guidance from a trained investigator, meaning I have been in law enforcement for over 10 years. I've gone to investigation schools, and I want to give you guys the way I look at cases like this to understand or determine whether or not there's some foul play involved. But like I said, before we get involved or before we go into the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you guys hit that notification bell. Let's jump right into it. So last Thursday, I was out of town and I was scrolling on Instagram and I came across this video that I'm about to play for you, which is the mom of Emmanuel Haro. I think the mom's name is Rebecca. So this is going to be Rebecca. She is on the local news channel talking about this situation when she was in the parking lot changing her baby's diaper. Some unknown man comes up behind her, hits her, and kidnaps her kid. This was the initial interview that went viral. Now, the other part about this is when I saw this, my heart broke. I was devastated. I have 3 kids. I have an 11-year-old, I have a 9-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old. So anytime I hear about any type of cases that involve kids, it literally breaks my heart from the inside out. So I saw the video, I reposted it to my story, I shared it because I want this baby to be found. I'm going to play you the video that I saw. I'm going to talk about why I shared it, but really more so importantly, we're going to talk about why this case has become so suspicious and why a lot of people think there's some foul play. Let's watch the video.
I'm begging you, please, if anything, if you know anything, please.
A distraught mom pleads for the return of her baby, who she says was kidnapped as she changed his diaper.
He has little wavy hair and light brown hair, so soft, like a feather, with beautiful brown eyes.
But today there's a chilling twist in the search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro. Emmanuel's mother, Rebecca, claims she was changing the baby's diaper here in the parking lot of this sporting goods store. There are no visible security cameras we can find to confirm her story, but she claims the baby was on the back seat and she was standing at the door when she heard the voice of a stranger and was hit from behind.
Now I had his diapers right here, and then someone said, "Hola," and I couldn't even turn, and I don't remember nothing.
She says she was knocked unconscious.
I got up off the floor and I didn't see my child.
Now, as you can see, that is what I shared. My heart was broken. But then when I actually started thinking about this from an investigator standpoint, there were some red alerts that went off in my mind, some triggers that made me start thinking twice about this whole interview. And mind you, as the days went on, I started actually seeing other videos popping up about why this case is so suspicious. But these were the red flags that went off in my mind. Number one, is she said, or it says at least in this news segment, that she was hit from behind. Now you'll notice she has a black eye, and everybody's been talking about the black eye. Some reports say that she was punched and that's how she received the black eye. But in this initial segment, it talks about she was hit from behind. So the initial question is like, well, if you're hit from behind, did you go down and did you hit the car? And then that's how you got the black eye? Because if you're hit from the front, then now, okay, the black eye would make sense. But what would also have to make sense is that you had some level of recognition to be able to get suspect information before you went unconscious. And let's just say that it's true that she was unconscious, but you would have some recollection the moment you got up to say, the last thing I saw was, this male individual. He looked like this. This is the type of car he was in. He was wearing a white shirt, wearing black pants, just something. But the only thing that she could remember was him saying, hola. Like, I don't know. I mean, that doesn't add up to me. You got to have some suspect information. This is actually why the Amber Alert wasn't actually able to go out, because anytime you have an Amber Alert that's going to be triggered, there needs to be a level of suspect information, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a license plate, whether it's a description of the gender, male or female, whether it's a clothing description, but something that gives enough information to put out an Amber Alert. But they didn't have enough information for an Amber Alert to go out, which that is a very significant part of this investigation, because if you don't know anything about kidnappings, time is of the essence. The faster you can get that information out, the faster you could probably catch the perpetrator, and the faster it means that you could probably get the retrieval of that person that was kidnapped before something bad happens. The longer time goes on, the harder and harder it gets to find that person alive. So that's why it was important to get that information, but she couldn't even give that information out. The other thing that I want to talk about is, as a mom, would your response be similar to hers? Let's watch this initial segment one more time, because I want you now, as you watch it the second time, I want you to think as a parent, if you're a mom or dad, would your response mimic something like hers, or would your response be something much different if your child had just been kidnapped? Let's watch her response one more time.
He has little wavy hair and light brown hair, so soft, like a feather, with beautiful brown eyes.
But today there's a chilling twist in the search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro. Emmanuel's mother, Rebecca, claims she was changing the baby's diaper here in the parking lot of this sporting goods store. There are no visible security cameras we can find to confirm her story, but she claims the baby was on the back seat and she was standing at the door when she heard the voice of a stranger and was hit from behind.
Now I had his diapers right here, and then someone said, hola, and I couldn't even turn, and I don't remember nothing.
She says she was knocked unconscious.
I got up off the floor and I didn't see my child.
So what's interesting is she could remember certain details. She could remember the fact that she was standing there getting ready to change him. She could remember the details that the guy said hola, but she can't remember any suspect details. Like, that to me is curious. But going back to my initial point, there was a school that I went to as a young police officer called Batty. And Batty is an investigation and interrogation school. And it teaches you what to look for when you're interviewing somebody, and how to identify signs of deception. One of the things that it also teaches you is, like, you need to look and evaluate, okay, what is a situation that you're on? Like, so in this case, it is a kidnapping. So this lady is involved in a kidnapping of her young child. So given the circumstances that she's, the center of attention on, does her emotions, her physiological emotions, match up with the actual situation and incident that she's on? So what is that? Break that down to me in layman's terms, right? What that means is me, the parent, the dad, or even my wife, if our kids were kidnapped, we would be broken. We would be devastated. We'd be tears all over the floor, can't even speak clearly. I mean, probably don't even want to do this interview right now. The only way you would get me to do this interview is to give you as much information as I know so I can get it out to you guys so we can catch this person. But other than that, we wouldn't be able to be put together. And I'm not trying to say that she is put together, because she's not, but it just doesn't match up. Like, if it was me, like, you would, like, I don't even wear makeup, but you find makeup on my face. It was my wife, you find makeup. Like, it just doesn't add up. And I don't even see any tears coming down her eyes. So I'm not trying to discredit her that much and say like what she's saying is complete BS, or like, I'm not trying to do that, because for all I know, she could be telling the truth. But all I'm asking, or all I'm trying to explain is it just doesn't add up. Now, the reason why this is also important is because the next segment I'm about to show you, the next video I'm about to show you, is of her husband's attorney. And you're going to notice that he says something in this interview of the husband's attorney that also raises another red flag. Let's watch what the husband's attorney says.
For missing 7-month-old, detectives are not ruling out anyone's involvement. KCAL's Jasmine Veal spoke to the father's attorney, who is pushing back on investigators. He says the family is cooperating.
Find Emmanuel. That's what we need. That's all we're asking for.
Defense attorney Vincent Hughes is speaking on behalf of Jake Haro, the 32-year-old father of 7-month-old Emmanuel, who has now been missing 5 days.
Nobody is searching for a 7-month-old child. That's the big issue here.
Okay, I don't necessarily know if that's a valid point that nobody's searching for 7-year-old Emmanuel. I think everybody's searching for Emmanuel, even people that don't even know him. They're holding vigils. Like, everybody's searching for this kid. I even posted up on my story. I think it's kind of more of a deflection to get them away from other information that they don't want us to know. Let's continue.
It says someone punched her and took her baby as she was changing his diaper in a Yucaipa parking lot around 7:30 p.m. last Thursday. Hughes says since that night, San Bernardino County Sheriff Department investigators have turned their focus on the couple, including Haro's criminal past, and accusing them of not cooperating in the investigation.
But there was a conviction for child cruelty, which Jake is not running from. He's not hiding from his record. It's publicly available information.
Records show Haro had a 2023 conviction for willful child cruelty from a felony complaint filed in Banning in 2018 that lists him as a co-defendant with his then wife Vanessa. Hughes represented him in that case.
Did you guys catch that? Let me stop. Did you guys catch that? So the husband, which is Jake had a conviction in 2018 for child cruelty. Now, we're not talking about he was arrested for alleged child cruelty and then he was let off. No, he was arrested for child cruelty and then found guilty of child cruelty and then went to prison or jail for 6 months. That means that he was found to be guilty of child cruelty, and it was a felony case. His wife was also a co-defendant, which means that she had some level of involvement in the child cruelty. Now, what the defense is trying to say right now is he's saying that there's no nexus. What does that mean when he says there's no nexus? That means that there's no connection. But there is a connection. And he's also trying to say that the husband, Jake, shouldn't be judged based off of his past mistakes as it relates to this case involving his son who was kidnapped. But I disagree. And here's why I disagree. Look, there's just certain stuff that you can't run from. You could be a great person. You could have made some terrible mistakes in the past and you have turned your life around. You found Jesus, and great. I love that. Anytime I hear success stories like that, I love it. I applaud it. But it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden negate the fact that you have done some things in the past that you can't look, that you're going to look past. No, you have to look at that, especially because there's a relationship. Let me break it down one other simpler way for you. There are times as a police officer that I will arrest somebody for being under the influence of a controlled substance, meaning like methamphetamine, heroin, you name it. And so anytime I would arrest them for being under the influence, now I'm looking for a nexus to basically complete and show evidence that this is a crime that they committed. So once they were in custody, I would do a pat down search of their person. I would maybe search their vehicle, and lo and behold, guess what I would find more than not? I would usually find either the drugs or the paraphernalia that was associated to them being under the influence of a controlled substance. There's a nexus there. So what is a nexus in this case? Well, you're dealing with a suspected kidnapping of a young child. You have two parents who in the past had a conviction for child cruelty. So you have to look at those two and say, is this potentially another situation where this child was not only subjected to abuse, but now might be possibly kidnapped or even gone or murdered? You have to at least take that into account. You can't just dismiss it and say, oh, that's not fair. You can't judge him based on this account. Like, no, like that. It just doesn't work that way. And again, not saying that these people did it, but you can't be mad when people look at you and say, well, let's actually go down this road and determine if there is any relationship as it relates to the past convictions of, you being a child abuser. The other thing that I found interesting about this case is the authorities are saying that the mother is not working with authorities. Now, I ask the question, if it's your child that was kidnapped and you don't know anything about anything other than your child was kidnapped, are you going to work with the authorities to the best of your ability, or are you going to clamor up? Now, the defense here is saying like, hey, look, they're cooperating. They allowed them to search the car. They allowed them to search the house, and the defense is cooperating. Like, that's what he's expressing. But one of the things that was brought up was the fact that she denied or turned down the opportunity to take a polygraph test. So I want you to ask yourself the question, should she have taken that polygraph? In my personal opinion, if I have nothing to hide, if I've done everything right, if my baby is gone and I want to find my baby, yes, I will do the polygraph. So that way, the faster I shouldn't be looked at as a suspect, the more you're going to be more dedicated to going and finding the actual suspect that exists. Now, the devil's advocate, the other side of it would say, well, by her taking a polygraph, if she shows any signs of deception, as opposed to them looking for the possible suspect, they're going to continue to look at her. Yes, that could be true. But in my personal experience, I would rather, if I have absolutely nothing to hide, zero to hide, give me the polygraph. I'll take it right here. I'll take it 2 times, 3 times, whatever it is, whatever is going to help you go and look for my child much faster. I'm going to do it. So now you can see why people are calling this case suspicious. Now you can see why authorities are saying that there might be a level of foul play here. Now, there's some information that's been coming out saying that the agency is a little tight-lipped about what's going on. And I think I have my personal opinion about why they're tight-lipped. Let's watch a couple more segments from what's been going on in the news, and then I'll tell you why I believe that the agency is tight-lipped.
What's unusual, though, is it's very rare, especially these days, for a random person to go and snatch a child from parents. And I think that's what's troubling law enforcement here.
The department says they are even aware of a tip that the baby was spotted in Kern County, something Hughes would like them to keep investigating, and hopes the public will step up to help.
Jake wants answers. Rebecca wants answers.
So did you catch what he just said? He said it's extremely and very rare that a kidnapping occurs and the parents in this case, don't know the person involved that did the kidnapping. It's very, very rare. Typically when kidnappings happen, especially with children like this age, you kind of have a connection to the perpetrator. There's got to be some connection. It could be a step parent, an aunt, an uncle, a mistress, whatever it may be, but there's usually a connection. Now, human trafficking is a different thing because some people will bring up the human trafficking. Well, what about human traffickers, Ryan? That's a little different because we're not talking about young babies. We're talking about young girls that are, trying to be found to be solicited for sexual gratification. Like, that's something completely different. We're talking about babies. There's typically a connection. So this is my personal belief as to why the agency is being a little bit more tight-lipped. I think that they are suspecting some foul play. I completely believe that the agency that's investigating suspects some foul play. And my reasoning in thinking that is they have to be extremely careful on the information that is being disseminated. They have to be extremely careful with the evidence that they're gathering because there is a real, very, very realistic possibility that they may not find Emmanuel. There's a very real possibility that they don't find him. And if they don't find him, that means in order to bring a prosecution, find somebody guilty of not only taking him, but potentially murdering him, that means they have to be able to have all the evidence so seamless that they can show and corroborate, have an overwhelming amount of evidence that puts somebody at fault for this case. And if any information gets out, if any information gets tainted, then it could ruin whatever conviction that they can get to bring this case to a close, which is my personal feelings of why they have to keep this stuff as close to the hip as possible, because DAs will file even if they don't find a body. So in the event, unfortunate event, and I hope they find this little baby. I pray to God that they find his little baby because he's innocent. He didn't do anything to deserve whatever he had coming for him. I pray that they find him. But in the event that they don't, the DA is going to want to get a conviction. And the only way they're going to get a conviction is if there's no evidence that was tampered with. So they have to make sure that they keep their lips as tightly sealed as possible. One of the last points that I'm going to bring up before I wrap this up, actually, there's one or a couple other videos I want to show, but the surveillance video was very, very minimal, like almost no surveillance video. Now, Yucaipa, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but Yucaipa is an area that is a developed place. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in Yucaipa, and I have a hard time believing that in 2025, there was no surveillance in the area and there was nobody else that saw this. I just have a hard time believing that. And again, I don't know if I brought this up because I've done 2 takes of this video because my camera screwed up. So I don't know if it's this video or the last video that I said what I'm about to say. So if I did say it already, bear with me. Don't skip the video. Just bear with me this next couple seconds. But as it relates to the surveillance, there's a couple theories that I have. Number one is, and let's just say that there is a suspect that was not Emmanuel's parents, then they would have had to know that the parking lot that he or she chose to do this crime in did not have surveillance video. That means they would have had to go out there and scope the place out and make sure, hey, there's no surveillance here. I know I can do this action. The second thing that they would have had to know is they would have had to know that Jake and Rebecca had a baby that age, and they would have had to know that she was going to stop at some point in time and change the diaper's baby in order to find the right opportunity to go and kidnap this baby. Now, if you're thinking like I'm thinking and saying, okay, that sounds a little bit far-fetched and that sounds like a stretch, yeah, that's what I think. It's a stretch. I think it's a stretch. So what's the other explanation? The other explanation in my mind is that this incident never really happened in the parking lot. And she's alleging it happened in the parking lot, but in the other explanation is it didn't. This was just a ploy to say this is how our baby went missing, and here we are. I'll let you guys be the determining factor of that, which kind of leads me into my last few videos that I want to play for you right now. I saw this on Instagram. There's a guy out there. His name is, let me see, Ahmed Beloso. And he is on the Tita. I don't know how to roll my R's. Sorry, forgive me. On the Tita. But shout out to Ahmed. He's doing phenomenal work. He's been covering this case. I saw this video pop up on Instagram. He's been covering this case since it began. He's actually in the parking lot talking to some ladies. Let's watch.
Joanna, I got a cousin named Joanna. On the Tita, yeah. So you guys work here at the Bada. Yeah. Is there cameras anywhere on this property facing?
So we do have a couple, but they only capture like literally where that white truck is at right now.
That white truck is exactly where the incident happened.
But no, she was saying that it was a little bit more over there.
Do you have that footage still? Can we get it?
Kind of, but not really.
So do you see where those 2 cars are parked? Now, it's not like they parked or the incident occurred behind the building. That would be a little different. Like, say it happened behind the building. She's alleging that behind the building. Okay, it's not common that you would have surveillance always behind the building. So it happened kind of close to the front of the store. Again, nobody heard anything. Nobody heard a sound. Nobody heard a peep. I don't know. Kind of suspicious. So then Ahmed, what he does next is he gets surveillance from the front or from inside the store. Now, I don't know if this is the same surveillance that the authorities have, because the authorities did say that they have some surveillance that has not been released yet. Unless they released it and this is the video, but there was some evidence that there was some surveillance that might show something, and that's what the defense was saying. But if this is the video that he's referring to, it's going to make their case a little bit more difficult to prove that this actually occurred. You'll see what I mean right here when I show you the video. Let's go back. So this is allegedly from that store that she was just at, that he was interviewing those 2 ladies from. So what you're going to see, there's a person that comes in the camera at this frame right here. So there's a car, white car, which I believe they're saying was her car. somebody gets out, somebody goes inside. Now this video goes on for a while. Somebody comes out, but you don't really see much for the next, several minutes. There's really not much that you see. So I'm actually going to fast forward to the very end. At the very end, the cars that come into the shot now, this is allegedly the deputies. So San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies, they're now on scene. They're now investigating. The car had already left, and they're on scene now. Now, why I believe this video is, or this segment is so interesting is simply because there was nothing. I didn't see anything suspicious. I really didn't, which I didn't see anything that's been described as to how this kidnapping happened. I didn't see in that video. Again, don't know if this is a video that the sheriff's department has, but I didn't see anything. And the defense attorney, he says in one of the interviews that he had that, hey, look, like, no, I saw the video. Somebody goes down, somebody gets up. But if it's this video, I didn't see that, number one. And if he's referring to a video that the sheriff's department has, it's going to have to be a clear image to kind of show some corroboration of what the statement was from what's her name? Rebecca and Jake. I don't know. This case is getting weirder by the day. I don't know. I definitely think, like I said, it's a true crime story for sure. It almost has the makings of a Netflix series because I've watched so many true crime. Yes, I'm guilty. I watch all the true crime stuff that comes on Netflix. But I definitely think it's worth continuing to look. And at the end of the day, like I said, I want Emmanuel to be found. I pray that he's alive and I pray that he's found. And if you or anybody else has any information that can lead to the apprehension or the recovery, I should say, of Emmanuel, please send it into the authorities. But it's also true, if you have any information of something that could break the case, whether it's suspect information, put it out there, report it to the authorities, because again, at the end of the day, we all want what's best for Emmanuel. We want him to come back safely, but it's definitely worth noting that there is some suspiciousness going on with this case. So I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Go down in my comment section right now. Tell me, do you think that there is foul play with this case? Do you think that the mom and dad are hiding something? Do you think that there's a reason why they are saying no to polygraph investigations? I want to know. Or do you think that no, what she's saying is the absolute honest to God's truth, and we need to spend most of our time focusing on finding Emmanuel and the perpetrator that did this, as opposed to wasting our time for looking at them as potential suspects? So, well, I have to give you the update in regards to the latest news regarding Emmanuel Haro. So I've been making this video. I've been trying to get it out. But the hard part about getting this video out is that information is literally changing by the hour. Well, in breaking news today, this is the latest video that I saw that I want to show you guys because, like I said, this information is changing by the second, and I want to make sure you guys have it. Let's watch.
We did see a lot of the deputies in this area driving around in that dirt and basically just kind of blocking off things or possibly looking at other locations. There's one of those deputies there. I was kind of just looking for him, and I know there was another one closer to the freeway. Now, what brought them here, the evidence that they're finding, what they're collecting, that is unclear. We do know the parents of baby Emmanuel have been taken into custody. Right now, that child's still not located. Deputies still searching, but you can see what they're doing right now. This home definitely seems to be a point of interest, and that detective definitely finding things in that trash, pulling them out, but what they are, I cannot say.
All right, so as you can see, what you just watched, the sheriff deputies here for the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department took both the parents of Emmanuel Haro into custody on suspicion of murder. And I got to be honest with you, I saw it coming. As you guys heard in my previous video and my comments before any of this even came out, I said that the deputies are probably being very tight-lipped with this investigation because there was information that we weren't aware of. And to be honest, they had to at least have a substantial amount of evidence that led to their arrest, because especially without a body, especially with not knowing anything else, they had to know something that we didn't know. And I only know that based on my level of experience in law enforcement, that there was too many red flags for them not to look at them as suspects in this case. The mere fact that she denied a polygraph, the mere fact that both of them, with this being specific to his dad had a child conviction in 2018, the mere fact that there was no evidence or witness videos or anything like that to corroborate an abduction, there was just way too many red flags to show that this was what they try to present it at on face value. This case has been crazy, and it's so sad because at the end of the day, there's a young baby out there who is not found and possibly dead. And but they're, again, watching it, and like I said, looking back, if you watch my other video, there were so many telltale signs to show why the deputies were looking deeper into this investigation. This lady, she pulled at the heartstrings of many people, including myself. She pulled at my heartstrings. I shared the video on Thursday night when I found out that this young baby was missing. But there's always more that meets the eye, and it would be very, very slim to none that some random person just came up out of nowhere and just, took this baby and kidnapped him. Does it happen? Yeah, but it doesn't happen as much as you think it does. And this, like I said in my previous videos, was much different than any type of trafficking. So now I'm curious, what was the motive? What was the motive for them taking this baby and possibly murdering this baby? And we're not going to find out any of that information until later, but I guarantee you there's a lot more things that we don't even know about this investigation yet. And I can only guarantee that because in my line of work, you have to have a significant amount of evidence or probable cause to arrest two people on suspicion of murder, especially when you don't even have a body, especially when you don't even know where he's at. So I'm curious to know what other evidence, what other witness statements, what other surveillance videos out there. And as this continues to unfold, I'm going to give you guys all the information, but I wanted to make a follow-up video. This has been happening so fast. I haven't even been able to produce the original video that I have prepped up for y'all just because it's literally been changing by the second, by the hour. So if you guys have any other information, give it to me, shoot it to me. I want to hear it. I want to see it. But with that being said, I always appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn those notification bells on so that way you get the latest information on the videos that we produce. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll see you guys on the next one.